Nebraska, ranchers, activists, and American Indians have come together to plant sacred corn in the way of the Keystone XL pipeline.
We're on my wife Helen's and my farm north of Nebraska, and we're out here. We're planting some native Ponca corn yesterday and today, and we hope to replenish their seed supply, as well as we're also creating a block in the path of the Keystone XL pipeline. If this thing leaks, and it's not if, it's when it leaks, it will ruin our aquifer. And without our water here, everybody here is done. You know, if it ruins that water, they can't clean it up.
This event is put on by the Cowboy and Indian Alliance.
Cowboy and Indian Alliance kind of came together as kind of a common area between ranchers, Native Americans, and farmers that are involved in the Keystone XL battle.
You know, the Cowboy and Indian Alliance actually first got started in the 80s when tribes and landowners in South Dakota were fighting uranium mining and munitions testing on their land. So that got kind of revived at a meeting about 2.5 years ago when one of the elders was talking about that, and we said, well, we should bring that together. I mean, that's what's happening. If you looked around the room, it was ranchers, farmers, and tribes.
Just on this side of this property is where my great-grandfather and the rest of the Ponca Nation walked through here on our Trail of Tears when our people were rounded up and herded like animals to Oklahoma. We had already planted our corn. It was in May, so we hadn't harvested our corn yet. And when we got to Oklahoma, we didn't have that seed with us. So this corn was given to us by the Creator. It was one of the first gifts given to us when we were born onto this land. And a thought came to me about our corn and about our first medicine, that we could use this corn to plant in the corridor of the pipeline, and that would be protected under sacred sites.
Those planting corn are here for a variety of reasons, but they are all here to stop the Keystone XL pipeline.
The biggest issue that we have with the pipeline is the risk to our water supply. So that's first and foremost. We can't imagine a worst case scenario tar sands leak in a river, a family well, an irrigation well, or the shallow parts of the aquifer. And then that's obviously property rights. We don't think it's right that a foreign corporation, or let alone an American big oil corporation, can come in and tell a landowner they have to take a piece of equipment on their land that they don't want. So today we're planting sacred corn from the Ponca tribe out of Oklahoma, and the tribe used to, live and really belong to this land. And unfortunately, several years ago, when they were forced out of Nebraska, their corn, also lost its way. And so it's been found, it's back home. I think a lot of our farmers and ranchers know that they are on sacred ground, and they just don't dance around the issue. I mean, it is awful what happened to tribal communities and families.
Well, I opposed the pipeline to start with, like a lot of other people, not in my backyard. And then we started to find out about things like tar sands and what it would mean to the overall environment as far as the carbon footprint and the disease that the tar sands extraction is causing. And
those man camps, the pipeline itself, the potential danger to the aquifer, because water's our livelihood.
And so, what is your hope coming out of this fight?
That they would leave, that they'd turn around and go back to Canada, and that other people would learn that you can stand up to big oil and big business, and just that it doesn't always have to be the person with the most money that buys the land or gets their way. So.
Yes, I have faith that the pipeline, this permit for this pipeline, should be, could be, and probably will be denied. Okay, because there's too much evidence against this company and tar sands and all those kinds of things. So I'm real disappointed in our elected officials that are so biased and so influenced by big money and big oil and big businesses, and not paying attention to the people that have elected them to office. it's just appalling to me to learn those kinds of things in my old age.
Yeah.
I think direct action is perfectly appropriate in certain situations. As far as it depends upon the operation. But when we're talking about TransCanada and the development of the KXL pipelines, wherever they might be, I think any kind of protest is appropriate, whether it be violent or nonviolent.
If the pipeline doesn't go through, are you going to still be fighting against tar sands?
Oh yes, very definitely. Yeah, very, very definitely. Sure, because if they don't have a route here, it'll be someplace else.
Right between here and where that pivot point is where the proposed route of the TransCanada pipeline has been laid out. Okay, just on the other side of the trees over there is the west side of the Trail of Tears.
Yeah, I'm the Director of Agriculture for the Ponca tribe, and I am the keeper of our corn. Our tribal corn is taken care of by me. We were originally from here. We were moved to Oklahoma forcibly, and so it's been 137 years and a few days since we have planted our sacred red corn back in our homeland. As a man who's made his living most of his life as a welder on pipe, most pipelines I don't have a problem with, but it seems to me that if we're going to ship Canadian tar sand oil to Houston, Texas, we pass a lot of refineries between here and there. If it was meant to help America and American people, it would have been diverted to those refineries. And so to me, for somebody to make money off of polluting America's soil, it doesn't make sense to me. I cannot imagine the feeling that those people had, being herded like animals off of their homeland, and everything that they knew, everything that they possessed was left behind. For us to bring this corn back here to this field, within sight of where my people were herded like cattle, it's very emotional, actually. It's something that that should have never taken place. It's kind of bittersweet, to be honest with you. To come back here and to be asked to come back and stand on this soil, and knowing that it was stolen from my people. It's kind of bittersweet. We were able to come back and do something for my people, but we shouldn't have to be doing this.
Thank you for following Fueling Dissent. This project is completely crowdfunded, so please consider donating to keep us going. Stay tuned.